Okay, so this time our topic is about inventory management control. No, so inventory control, also called stock control. So this will be the process of managing a company's inventory levels, whether that it can be their own warehouse or spread over other locations. So it comprises management of items from the time you have them in stock to their final destination, ideally to customers, no, or disposal, not ideal, no. There are actually four types of inventory most commonly used are raw materials, work in process, finished goods, and maintenance, repair, and overhaul. No, you can practice better inventory control and smarter inventory management when you know the type of inventory you have. And the importance actually of inventory control is to minimize the blockage, no, of financial resources. It reduces the unnecessary tying up of capital in excess inventories and also improves the liquidity positions of the firm. So to give us more details about the topic, please do watch this video presentation prepared by our presenter, available of course in our Google Drive, no?
Hey everyone, I'm Arian K. Mendoza and I am tasked to report Chapter 10, which tackles about inventory management control. A company's inventory is one of its most valuable assets. In retail, manufacturing, food services, and other inventory-intensive sectors, a company's inputs and finished products are the core of its business. A shortage of inventory, when and where it is needed, can be extremely detrimental. That is why inventory management is important for businesses of any size. Knowing when to restock inventory, what amount to purchase or produce, what price to pay, as well as when to sell and at what price can easily become complex decisions. So this chapter will help us learn or understand how to properly manage the business's inventory in a way that can be most profitable to our business. So first, let us define inventory. Inventory is a physical resource that a firm holds in a stock with the intent of selling it or transforming it into a more valuable state. They may be purchased from others or produced internally. There are four types of inventory. The first is the raw materials. Raw materials are the stocks that has not been used or are waiting to be used for manufacturing. It can be classified from direct materials or those that constitute a finished product or an indirect material or those that does not constitute in the end product but used in the production or manufacturing. So for example, a cloth and a thread is a direct material for clothes, while pencil, paper for drawing the design of the clothes, and oil for the machineries are an example of indirect materials. So the next type is the work in process. Work in process are raw materials that undergone some process and changes but not yet been completed. The last type is the finished product or the finished goods. These are completed products after the production process which are readily available for sale to a company's customers. So inventory serves a number of functions. Among most of these are the following. First is to meet anticipated demands. A customer can be a person who are just passing by or those who walks in the street to buy something in the business. So these inventories are referred to as anticipation stocks as they are held to satisfy expected demands. So these are the inventories that are usually displayed in our stores wherein the customers can choose and buy. So the other functions of inventory is to smooth production requirements. Firms that experience seasonal patterns in demand often build up inventories during pre-season periods to meet overly high requirements during seasonal periods. So an example of this is companies that sells greeting cards or those that are related for Christmas. So nagbi-build up na sila ng maraming inventories during the pre-season period so that they can accommodate the high demands during the seasonal period. Next is to decouple components of the production distribution process. So, company or firms have used buffers of raw materials to insulate production from disruption in deliveries from suppliers and finished goods inventory to buffer sales operation from manufacturing disruption. So, meaning, companies or firms um, stocks inventory so that yung production is continuous or ma-avoid yung disruption caused by delayed deliveries or yung mga sirang supplies. So, nag-stock sila para continuous lang yung production. Also, it is related also sa mga finished goods wherein they avoid disruptions naman sa sales. So, for example, there are a lot of demands for sale. When you have enough finished goods, hindi madi-disrupt yung iyong sales transactions. So the next functions is to protect against stock out. So delayed deliveries and unexpected increase in demands increases the risk of shortage. So delays can occur because of weather conditions, supplier stockouts, deliveries of raw materials, quality problem, and so on. So as I have said earlier, firms and businesses, nag-stock sila ng inventory to avoid yung stockouts caused naman by the problems from the suppliers such as delayed deliveries, yung supplier stockouts, deliveries of raw materials, and quality problems. So the next function is to take advantage of order cycles. So dito naman, si inventory ay ina-avoid niya yung delays in the order cycle. So para ma-avoid naman yung price changes so that ma-avoid din yung additional cost when we order to the suppliers. Next is to hedge against price increases or take advantage of entity discounts. So, syempre, the cost of the inventories or the cost of the supplies are not always fixed or nagbabago siya as the time goes by depending on the situation in the market. So, maybe this time mababa siya and the next order mataas siya. So, some firms, nagpa-practice sila na tinitake advantage nila yung lower prices today so that tumaas man yung amount or tumaas man yung price na sa market, in the next few days, at least meron pa siyang stock. So, tinitake advantage nila yun. So, the next function is to permit operation. So, simply, syempre, we cannot go on with our operation in our business kapag wala yung mga inventories, especially if we are a manufacturing business or a company. So, inventories are used to permit operation to go on and to pursue or yung to go with our business processes. Since we have discussed the vital role and functions of inventory in our business processes, let us now discuss how to manage them properly to gain the most benefit out of it. So what is inventory management? Inventory management includes the management of raw materials, components, and finished products, as well as warehousing and processing of such items. Inventory management is the entire process of managing inventories from raw materials to finished goods. So management has two basic functions concerning inventory. The first is to establish a system for tracking items in inventory And second is to make decisions about when to order and how to order. So next is how can we effectively manage our business's inventories. So effective inventory management requires number one, a system that keeps track of inventories. Second is a reliable forecast of demand. Three is a knowledge of lead time and lead variability. Next is reasonable estimates of holding costs, ordering costs, and shortage costs, and a classification system for inventory system. So as we go on with our discussion, I will elaborate each of these requirements for us to understand and for us to learn how to effectively manage our inventories. So the first requirement for an effective management control is that the firm must keep track of its inventories. So how do we keep track our business inventory? So we have to have a inventory counting system. So there are two types or two kinds of inventory system. First is the periodic system or a physical count of items in inventory which is made at periodic intervals such as weekly, monthly, in order to decide how much to order for each of them. So in a periodic inventory system, it uses an occasional physical count to measure the level of inventory and cost of goods sold. So this system is applicable or suited for small businesses that have easy to manage inventories or those with low sales values. So the next type of counting system is a perpetual inventory or a system that keeps track of the removals from inventory continuously, thus monitoring the current level of each item. So the perpetual system keeps track of inventory balances continuously with updates made automatically whenever a product is received or sold. So businesses with larger inventories or high sales volume and multiple retail outlets need perpetual inventory system kasi it's not possible for them or it would cost them additional costs for them to count their inventories physically. So perpetual inventory is applicable for large businesses which have also a large number of inventories in their stocks. So the next requirement to have an effective inventory management is to have a reliable forecast of demand and lead time information. So first, what is demand forecast? In demand forecast, inventories are used to satisfy demand requirements, so it is essential to have reliable estimates of the amount and timing of demand, while the lead time is the time interval between ordering and receiving the order. So it is important to know this kind of information because it helps the managers to know how much inventories should we order to our suppliers for us to satisfy or suffice with the requirements and demands of the customer. While for the lead time, it is important for the managers to know the lead time because it helps them to estimate when is the right time to order again to our suppliers para hindi tayo magkaroon ng stockouts or shortage. So the managers need to know the extent to which demand and lead time interval might vary because the greater the potential variability, the greater the need for additional stocks between ordering and receiving to reduce a risk of shortage between deliveries. Okay, so the next requirement for an effective inventory management is to have a reasonable estimate of some cost information. So in making a decision on how much to purchase, operations manager must try to identify the cost which will be affected by their decisions. So here we take a cost perspective and re-examine these components in order to determine which costs go up and which costs go down as the order quantity increases. So what are these costs? First is the holding cost or carrying cost. This relates to physically having items in storage. So this cost will includes interest, insurance, taxes, depreciation, obsolescence, deterioration, to carry an item in inventory spoilage, pilferage, breakage, and warehouse costs, which includes heat, light, rent, and security. So, to simplify this, holding or carrying cost is the cost we incur when we store the inventory in our warehouse or in our offices. So this cost uh, is related to the keeping of the inventories in our office premises. Next is the ordering cost. Ordering costs are the cost of ordering and receiving inventory. This includes determining how much is needed, preparing invoices, shipping costs, inspecting goods upon arrival for quality and quantity, and moving the goods to temporary storage. So as the name suggests, ordering cost is the cost we incurred when we order uh, the inventories or the supplies to our suppliers. So this may include delivery charges, um, yung inspection cost to check if the quality and the quantity is correct with our orders and the like. Next is the shortage cost, which is the result when demand exceeds the supply of inventory on hand. So this cost, when demand exceeds, the sub-cost can include the opportunity cost of not making a sale, loss of customer goodwill, lie of inventory on hand, often late charges, and similar costs. So in shortage cost, this includes opportunity cost, which is the cost foregone because we did not make the sale dahil mas malaki or mas maliit yung ating inventory compared to the demand of the customer. So we also account those foregone uh, cost or foregone income na dapat kinita natin, but because we have not enough inventory in our stock, so hindi natuloy yung sale. So ina-account din natin yun. And we have to have a reliable estimate of this cost for those managers para makapag-plan sila or they can make a better plan, better inventory planning para maiwasan natin yung shortage and maiwasan natin naman yung ordering which results naman sa spoilage or pagkasira ng mga inventories natin. So the last requirement to have an effective inventory management is to have a classification system for inventory system. So an important aspect of inventory management is that items held as an inventory are not of equal importance in terms of value or profit potentials, sales or usage volume, or stock out penalties. So it would be unrealistic to devote equal attention to each of these items. Instead, a more reasonable approach would be applicable for us to control efforts according to the relevance or the relative importance of various items in our inventory. So the most common system or approach that we use is the ABC approach. The ABC approach classifies inventory items according to some measure of importance, then allocates control efforts accordingly. Typically, three classes of items are locating control efforts used. First is the A, or the very important items, B, which includes moderately important items, and C for the least important items. So the ABC approach classify your inventory according to what is more important and what are the less important items in the whole inventory. Kasi it is important na maklassify natin siya because as we monitor or count them physically, nag-i-incur din tayo ng cost. So ang goal ni ABC approach is to focus on what is more or what is the most important item in the inventory and focus there yung pag-monitor and pagka-count while hindi naman natin pinababayaan yung least important but we will have less attention or we will allocate less cost for them kasi those items naman ay kaya naman natin siyang makuha everywhere since it is less important or less in value. So for us to understand more about how the ABC approach works, so let's watch this video. Hello po, Dean. What do you want? Regards to how much to order, when to order, and how to control the inventory system. The first question that we have to answer is the how much to order. So the most common approach to deciding how much of any particular item should be ordered when stock needs replenishment is called the economic order quantity or the EOQ. The economic order quantity or EOQ refers to the ideal order quantity a company should purchase in order to minimize its inventory costs, such as holding costs, shortage costs, and ordering costs. The EOQ model seeks to ensure that the right amount of inventory is ordered per batch so the company does not have to make orders too frequently and there is not an excess of inventory sitting on hand. So the formula in computing for the EOQ is the square root of 2 times S times D divided by H, where S is the setup cost per order, generally including shipping and handling cost. D is for the demand rate or the quantity sold per year, and H is for the holding cost per year per unit. To apply the EOQ in a problem, so we have here a sample problem. So let's say a shop that sells 1,000 shirts each year, in which the company's cost to hold the single shirt in the inventory is $5, and the fixed cost to place an order is $2. So we will use the formula for EOQ, which is the square root of 2 times the setup cost or the ordering cost times the demand each year divided by the holding cost for an item. So for this problem, we have here a square root of $2 times 2 times, which is the constant, and then times 1,000, which is the demand each year, divided by the holding cost of $5. So the EOQ for this problem is 28.3, or let's round it off to whole number, which is 28 t-shirts. So meaning, um, in this problem, the shop should order 28 t-shirts for them to maximize the cost of ordering and holding of the inventory. So this is the ideal number of how much t-shirt they should order to the supplier para ma-maximize nila yung cost of ordering and ma-lessen nila yung holding cost. EOQ, or computing for the EOQ, is very useful to managers since they have this information on how or how many they should order or what is the ideal number to order para ma-maximize nila lahat ng cost related to ordering to the suppliers. However, there are some disadvantages of using the EOQ. So the first disadvantage is that the basis for the EOQ formula assumes that consumer demand is constant. So as we all know, consumer demands varies every year. So there are times na mas marami yung demand for this year and the next year is mas less. So si EOQ, hindi niya nakaka-capture yung ganung changes sa demand. So the result may be yung mako-compute na EOQ is not that reliable for the next year in which the demand changes. The next is the calculation also assumes that both ordering and holding cost remains constant. So, in reality, all cost naman is nagbabago because the cost today would not be its cost for the next year. So, si EOQ hindi ina-assume niya that all cost remains constant. Kaya there may be variables or there may be variance, I guess, in the computation for the EOQ kasi hindi na po consider yung mga changes sa demand and also for the costs. However, EOQ is still very useful in inventory planning. So the next important question a manager should answer with regards to inventory management is the question when to order. So dito na papasok yung ating computation for the reorder point. But first, what is reorder point? It is the point when more items are ordered that is usually calculated to ensure that inventory does not run out before the next batch of inventory arrives. So the inventory reorder level is the level of inventory at which more items are ordered, usually calculated to ensure that inventory does not run out before the next batch of inventory arrives. So the purpose of computing for the reorder point is just to know at which level of the inventory should the manager decide na umorder again. So for example, if this kind of or if this level of inventory has been reached, so we have to order again para maiwasan natin yung shortage before the next batch of inventory arrives. So the formula for computing for your order point is the average daily usage rate times the lead time. Lead time was discussed earlier, so it is the number of days between ordering and receiving the items, and then plus safety stock. So we will get the reorder point or the number of units na dapat ma-reach yung inventory natin bago tayo mag-order again sa ating mga suppliers. So for us to fully understand on how to compute for the reorder point and how it will relate to our inventory planning, let's watch this video. So now let's try to compute for the reorder point for this sample problem. So a perfume retailer who sells 200 bottles of perfume every day, your vendor takes 1 week to deliver each batch of perfume you order, and you keep enough excess stock for 5 days of sale in case of unexpected delays. So now we should compute for the reorder point. So we will use our formula average daily usage rate times lead time times safety stock to get for the reorder point. So first, our lead time. So since the vendor takes 1 week to deliver each batch of perfume, so that is equivalent to 7 days. While our safety stock is 5 days of sales, so we will multiply 5 times 200 bottles per day, which is the sale of the perfume retailer every day. So our safety stock is 1,000 bottles. And to compute for the reorder point, 200 times 7, which is the lead time, plus 1,000 bottle safety stock. So our reorder point is 2,400 bottles. So meaning when our inventory or when the inventory of the perfume retailer reach 2,400 bottles, she or he needs to order again to her suppliers. So that's it. So finally, managers should know how to control the inventory system of the business. So how to control the system? First is to update the stock cards. Every time a transaction takes place, such as the sale of the item, the movement of an item from warehouse to another, or the delivery of an item into a warehouse, the position, the status, and possibly the value of the stock will change. So this information must be recorded so that operations managers can determine their current inventory status at any time. Next is to generate orders or generating orders. So the two major decisions we have described previously, namely how much to order and when to order, can be both made by a computerized stock control system. So we don't have to manually compute for the EOQ and the reorder point since there is already an inventory system that automatically computes for this information so that the operations manager can immediately know if um, she have to restock or she have to order again to the suppliers. Next is to generate inventory reports. Inventory control system can generate regular reports of stock value for the different items stored, which can help management monitor its inventory control performance. So similarly, the customer service performance, such as the number of stockouts or the number of incomplete orders, can be regularly monitored. So inventory reports are very important in the planning and decision making of the operations manager. So it has to be always updated and reliable as to the data. And lastly, to control the system, we have to have a reliable forecasting. So previously in our slides, we discussed the demand forecast. So in here, inventory replenishment decisions should ideally be made with a clear understanding of forecast future demand. So as I have discussed earlier about the forecasting of demand and why is it important for us to have a reliable um, forecast of demands because it will affect our decision making with regards to our inventory orders and inventory sales. So, forecasting is very important in all levels of the inventory processes. So before I end this presentation, I will leave a quotation from Rhonda Adams, which states that inventory is money sitting around in another form. So inventory is a very essential asset of the business because when it is managed and controlled properly, it can bring a lot of income and benefits to the businesses. So it is very important to know and understand on how to effectively manage and control the inventories of our businesses. So this ends my report for Chapter 10, Inventory Management Control. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so I think that's it for inventory control, because again, the main objective of the inventory, of course, is the material availability, better level of customer service, keeping wastage and losses to a minimum, maintaining sufficient stock, cost-effective storage, cost value of inventories can be reduced, and optimize product sales. No? And the key principle actually of inventory management cover the demand forecasting, warehouse flow, inventory turn or stock rotation, cycle counting, and process counting. Okay, so I think that's it. We need to take note that effective inventory management and control protects from incorrect or damaged goods being shipped to customers. So this helps improve customer experience, protect from issues such as refunds, and achieve more repeat buyers. Okay.